Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So here's the update on BTS's military exemption. There was a hearing today at the National Assembly where a lawmaker grilled the Minister of Defense and the Director of the Military Manpower Administration. These guys are setting the policies on whether BTS gets a military exemption or a modification. And this lawmaker went to town, and I wanted to give you the update on where it's looking. It looks like the wall is cracking, and it looks like perhaps the public opinion pressure, including our little petition, is making an effect. So please, thank you for signing that petition. Keep going with it, keep sharing it, keep putting the public eyes on it. Also, in our K-Beauty review, I want to show you the must-have, the must-avoid, and the must-try in the Fresh Rose series line. All that coming up. Stay tuned. Okay, so again, thank you for signing the petition. I know some of you people are on one side or the other, whether should we rattle the cage of the government? Look, if you want anything to happen with the government, you gotta rattle their cage. If not, all they do is fight with each other. They have nothing to do. They only respond when their cages get rattled. Constituent response is all that they respond to, believe you me. All right, so what happened today at the National Assembly? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize there was some fire in this guy. This guy seemed like he really wanted some results. And the way that they couched this whole thing was money. That BTS essentially brings money to South Korea. And of course, you know, we're talking about artists, right? Artistic excellence, but it has to be translated into money if you want to get into this door. And this guy was a little bit shady. So this is right up our alley. This is a saucy way to kind of grill these guys. So apparently they've had conversations before. So these guys came a little bit pre-warmed, the Minister of Defense and then also the Military Manpower Director. So first, the Military Manpower Administration Commissioner, first of all, he was wearing an Air Queen mask. Yeah, this queen was basically grilled the majority of the time. And the lawmaker first said, like, we have to do something by the end of the year, right? And he said, yes, one member, Jin, is expected to go. And the lawmaker said that in light of the growing national wealth created by BTS, have you analyzed the effects of a military exemption? And he said, yes, we're looking at it from different angles. You know, this guy was just spinning around. So of course, the lawmaker, you know, he's grandstanding, he's talking, he's giving his points, and he said that, okay, and he's belittling the, you know, just give you a little bit of preview, his shade is basically he's gonna cut down the classical music exemption, you know, how, you know, we're thinking of it as so great, but he's trying to show the difference between Billboard, Grammys, American Music Awards, and then these like classical music awards. And he's saying like there's these little classical music awards in Vienna or Sapporo that count as international awards that get exemptions for military service. There are 42 awards that are eligible and about 5 that are eligible here in the nation, 42 international awards. And he said, but the Billboard, American Music Awards, Grammys, the ones that BTS win, they don't count? Do you think that is fair? And then the commissioner responded by saying, well, rather than fair, there's a set policy right now, and adding these additional awards can break our current system, so we are cautiously analyzing the situation. So on the one hand, you could kind of say like, oh, they're being extremely conservative. On the other hand, this is the military. If your enemy gets a new weapon that is much stronger and outguns whatever you have, and you say responding would break your current system, how dumb is that? Okay? We want to have a military that actually seems responsive to any kind of like stimulus or changes in environment. Break our current that is the world. It's always breaking current systems. Your system should be the only thing that never changes is change itself. So yes, your current system that should never change is its ability to respond to change. Anyhow, so then he interrupted him to ask whether we're expanding military. Yeah, because that was such a dumb response. So then he said that he interrupted him saying like, oh, well, aren't we expanding military exemptions for those who work in the semiconductor industry? Because yes, if you have like a job in the semiconductor, building chips, chip shortage, he was asking like, aren't we expanding people who can get exempted if you like work, in the semiconductor industry? He's like, no, we're not expanding, but we're just adjusting the numbers of like who in what sub job category in the semiconductor industry will get an exemption. Like he was just like dancing around that answer too. So then the assemblyman went on and says like, okay, well, we have to ask ourselves the effect that BTS has on our national economy. And he's like, now he's doing the whole thing of like, do you know? It's like, do you know the economic impact that BTS has on being #1 on the Billboard chart? He's like, it's $1.7 billion. And over the past 10 years, BTS has contributed $56 billion to the Korean economy. And then he's like, do you know how much income BTS will bring in if they do a concert from like fees, like $50 to $60 million. And then this is the kicker. This is when he's done good research, this assemblyman and his staff. He's like, do you know how many tourists came during the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics? Which is basically like one of the biggest things that you can get as a national thing, kind of like the World Expo. And then the guy was like, no, I don't know. He's like, 280,000 people. So only that sounds like a lot, but not that many. And I'm sure a lot of them were like the athletes and all the entourage. So 280,000 people came for the Winter Olympics, a major international event. And then he's like, but do you know how many tourists came when BTS had a concert? He said 187,000 people. 187,000. And then he's like, when in 2021, when BTS was active, South Korea had a surplus of $850 billion of trade surplus. And of course, I think this assemblyman is kind of blurring the lines of BTS's contribution versus overall, BTS just didn't do everything, but there's so much that BTS has done as corollary effects that you can't really always track. But he made the point during the Moon Jae-in administration, the president even felt that they had such great value that he would drag them along to places like the United Nations. And he said, I think these were good deeds, but the assemblyman was like, we're not just asking to say make a one-off exemption for BTS. What we're asking for is a change in the system so that more BTSs in the future can be born and developed and continue to contribute to South Korea. And he said that So we're just focused on the standards of these classical music awards around the world. And he said, like, we've never imagined the achievements of like the Grammys, American Music Awards, or Billboard. So we've never been able to imagine that. So they've never been included in this type of formula when we're considering exemptions for military service. And then he gets real shady. He's like, well, then we need to consider whom to exempt. Someone who goes out and wins these honors and achievements and these big awards around the world, like the Grammys or American Music Awards, or topping Billboard charts and bringing all these contributions to South Korea, or someone who goes out and wins some no-name classical music competition. Shady. This guy's shady, man. And then he's like, oh, and there's one more thing I forgot to mention. He's like, if you win a gold medal at the Olympics, there's an economic benefit of about $260 million to the economy. But 1 week on the Billboard charts is $1.7 billion. So under that math, we should really try to reconsider our national policy. And he's like, I'm only bringing this up because I think you might get some backlash. You know, some people might be like coming after you if you don't know these facts. So this guy was shady and entertaining. So then the Minister of Defense also spoke, but he didn't speak for that long, and this guy was spinning, okay? Like, I know spin when I seen one, and I'm just like, why is he spinning? Shouldn't he just be doing policy? He should not be spinning. But he's like, well, in response to your previous comments, we did some analysis and considering fairness and equality and the decrease in military enlistment and looking at all of these principal issues, we came up with a solution. And he's basically saying like, okay, this is the Minister of Defense. He's like, well, BTS can come to the military and we'll give them opportunities to practice. And if there's a big international performance, we can find a way to let them go and they can do a tour or something. We can probably find a way to make that happen. And he's like, people might freak out that they have to serve, but in my mind, we think their popularity will go up actually if they perform their military service. Now, what do they know about the entertainment industry? How would they feel if the CEO of Hybe Entertainment gave some opinions about the latest rocket launchers or whether a military strategy or an alliance will have some sort of regional effect? What do they know about the entertainment industry and the what is the Minister of Defense doing talking about the popularity of Korea's #1 K-pop group? If that is the case, then I would like him to welcome the CEOs of SM Entertainment, JYP, YG maybe even, and Hybe to talk about national security and defense systems at his next, roundtable meeting to talk about our security policy. What the heck is that? So that's what I was saying. He's like spinning around and he's like, okay, we're going to send you a formal report from the defense ministry. So anyhow, so that is where it's going. So at least it looks like, okay, this is the good sign is that putting the fire onto the politicians does have some result. It has some effects because we need them to pressure the people who actually will make the policy changes. Yes, the assemblyman can also kind of create a law, but really the policies are set by people in the defense ministry and then also the Military Manpower Administration, that commissioner. It really comes from them. So if the assembly and the assemblymen can call them in for questioning. So really it does make a difference to put the heat onto the politicians and hit them where they care about it, because their well-being is in jeopardy if they don't respond to people's desires for this issue to be resolved. And in general, the more that I hear from you around the world, I do see that I think it is becoming extremely clear that BTS has done more for bringing really people into Korean culture and just even like real cultural diplomacy than I have ever seen in all of my years working in Korean media. And you know, when I was basically like the arm of Korean state media that was designed to try to increase cultural bridges with the world. And all of that effort, 24 hours a day of diverse programming, couldn't do what BTS has done. And so they really, I think, need to change the system. And for them to say, oh, it would kind of be a shock to our system. Well, what else is a shock to your system? I mean, I think we need to have a whole analysis of your system. If a boy band is a shock to the system in the military, then I think we really need to do an audit of the military to see if it is ready. Because if it's not even ready for BTS, then is it ready for, you know, our brothers upstairs? Come on, come on. This is a good test. This is a good test, because if it can't handle the global army, I don't know, can it handle like a half-starving army? Come on. All right, guys, what do you think? It's just crazy. We need some K-beauty time now. Okay, so fresh, yes, fresh. I think it's still part of the K-beauty atmosphere because it is so popular here and it's been around forever. And I'll tell you how much forever, because it was so popular, like, you know, even like 10 years ago, they kept raising up the prices to a crazy amount. And I was like, okay, this is like triple the price of the prices in America. And so like the importer, I called, I was just like, look, you are charging way too much. And they were like, oh, sorry. Well, you know, there's like taxes and things. And I was like, look, we just passed that free trade agreement. What are you talking about, taxes? And they're like, oh, well, you know, I was like, this is BS. Like, you know, I know what the real price is. And then, you know what? It was like by luck, like a month later, like a friend of mine that I went to college with, her cousin came to Korea, and apparently he was working in the corporate office of Fresh New York. And I was like, what the heck are you doing here? He's like, oh yeah, we're just doing some like, you know, meetings with our business partners. And I was like, oh, I was like, yeah, because you know, it is overpriced here. And he's like, yeah, that's actually why we're here, because Korea is going crazy. They are like way overcharging. The price parity is not equal, and we're trying to convince them to bring it down. I was like, thank you, because my cleanser is just like way too expensive. And so I kid you not, I think this went up to like $70 or $80, and now it's still even more overpriced. It's like 57,000 won, but still it went down. But still, anyhow, this is the best cleanser in the world. It is the soy face cleanser. Why? Because it's very gentle. Like if you like Cetaphil but you feel like it doesn't wash anything off, including makeup, well, this does everything. It is gentle yet strong, if you ever think about. And also because of that, like let's say like you just want to wash fast and you think like, oh, I didn't really like wash enough, it still is thorough. It does everything. It's amazing. I don't know how else to say it. You know, like when somebody says like, it's just so good, that means it's really good, because there's nothing more to say, because it's the best. Okay, this like, so then when you're at Fresh or something, if you actually buy from the department store, they, you know, like you love this, and so then everything else should be good. It's not. Even if it's like sort of, well, looks like it's in the same line. This is a serum, and they kind of get you. It's a gimmick because it's like a little bit of an oil layer and then like a liquid layer, and then you're supposed to shake it, and then it's supposed to be all like amazing. It doesn't do anything. This thing doesn't do a thing. I kid you not, like how could this not do anything? But I felt like it just didn't do anything. It was just like way too overpriced. I'd say skip this. It's worthless. Now, this sample though, same line. I tried it. This I think is amazing. This is like some overnight cream, sleeping mask. I just think it's, well, isn't a sleeping mask basically a night cream? So you put this on, I guess, in 2 steps, and then in the morning, your skin is glowing. It's amazing. So, you know, one is like a gel, the other one is a cream. Like, I don't know, it's like that kind of like a bit of a, it's a bit of like, you know, kind of like theater, you know, with this bottle. And so I've never bought it, but I've tried it with this sample, and I was just like, okay, when the sample is that great where you want to buy it, then okay. We're gonna do it. We're gonna eventually, if I get to the counter, I'm gonna be, and she's gonna try to push this on me and gonna be like, no, yes, this one. So this, and then this, the best cleanser in the world. So what do you guys think? We really need to keep putting the pressure on for BTS to get some sort of military exemption or honors or just recognition. Like when he put the facts out there, when he compared the statistics from the Olympics, from the economic impact of being on the Billboard charts, the fact that the guy who is setting the policy of what impact that these awards and recognitions do for the country could not even grasp or even know, or was not even aware of what it was to hit all of the marks that BTS has been doing for the past 10 years. It is, and that is excuse that it would just kind of shake the system. Like, you sounded like a scaredy cat. I don't want a scaredy cat. Why are there scaredy cats there? So I think keep going. Whatever you're doing, keep it going. All right, guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Comment below, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.